everyone. I like to be called the children nurturer, and my name is Omelogo Nnadi. Okay, so today I want to ask a question. At what point do you draw the line between praising your child and indulging the child? At what point do you draw this line? Is there even a line to be drawn at all? Okay, before I go into what I think about this question, let me share two experiences with you. So earlier this year, I met a new friend who came visiting mine with her daughter. And then when they came, I think we had to spend nearly an entire day together, the children playing, and this new friend and me catching up and getting to know ourselves. And then I realized that there were a couple of times when maybe my son might have done something, and then they would come over to where we were, and then this friend of mine would say, "Oh, well done, you've done a great job, oh, fantastic, amazing." And then as soon as she paid my son this compliment, her daughter would lean on her, wanting to be paid a compliment too. And on one or two or maybe even three occasions, she also paid her daughter a compliment, even though she hadn't done anything in particular at that moment to be complimented or praised for. But because it was something she needed at that time, she paid her a compliment. And okay, so let's leave that on one side. Then I had another experience. Now, my son loves to draw. He drew a picture of me. He labeled it Queen Omelogo. And he's like, "Mom, how does this look? Doesn't it look amazing?" I looked at it. I mean, the eyes were groggy. The head was big. The hair was, I don't know. But I said, "Yeah, it looks amazing." I said, "Oh, great. Okay, so why don't you keep it, Mom? We're going to frame it." I was like, "Okay, we're going to frame it sometime." I took it from him and I kept it on one of the shelves in my room. Now, so one of the days he was off to school, and one of my nieces came over to visit his favorite sister in Abuja. And so she walked straight to my room and saw the picture on the shelf and said, "Oh no, who drew this very ugly picture?" She was 3 at the time. "Who drew this very ugly picture?" I was like, "Sweetheart, that picture was drawn by your big brother. And if he hears you saying that that picture is ugly, he's going to be very, very sad, really." And immediately she said, "Oh, this picture is so beautiful. It's really beautiful. I love it." Now, this is a 3-year-old. Why did I tell you these two stories? Because I want us to look at it as when we talk about this. At what point do you draw the line between praising and indulging? Now, every parent is expected to be his or her child's biggest cheerleader, biggest supporter, biggest, pusher, biggest pillar. Because when you stand stoically behind your child, when you stand solidly behind your child, you give the child a good measure of confidence. You boost the child's esteem. You give the child fire and push to go on being all that the child can bear to be. But at what point does this confidence boosting now become indulgence? How do you praise a child or a child's efforts without it seeming like you are lying to that child? Now, let me start with my son's picture and his cousin's comments on the picture. Now, when my son drew that picture and I looked at it, while to me it might not have been a beautiful picture, I realized that He had a picture in his mind's eye when he was drawing that picture, when he was making it. As far as he is concerned, he has drawn the most beautiful picture there ever was. Now, how old is he to start with? He was 6 at that time, and in his mind, that is a beautiful picture. I look at it at my age, I will draw a much better picture. But I cannot now compare what I'm able to do with what he is able to do at his age. I have to think about the effort that went into making that picture. I have to think of the features. What was he trying to achieve? He drew hair. Did he draw the hair well? He drew eyes. He drew a nose and lips. And what are the proportions of these things to the head that he drew? Are they in the right proportion? Was the effort? Were the efforts good enough? So these are the things I would pay attention to rather than looking at the entire outcome of the picture and then tagging it ugly. So in his eyes, the pictures are not ugly. So when he asks me if the picture is beautiful, isn't it lovely? Of course I say it's lovely. Now comes his cousin and looks at it. One look, she's a child, there is no pretense, and she says, "Who drew this very ugly picture?" And I say, you don't say that. Your brother is going to be so sad. And then she switches immediately and says it is beautiful. This is mainly what we do. We try to make the child feel good about himself, sometimes at the detriment of the truth, at the detriment of reality. At what point do you draw the line between praising your child, giving your child confidence, and realities on ground? At what point do you do that? Now look at the other side, on the other side of the child who came visiting with her mother, and then seeing another child being praised for doing something, also wanted to be praised despite not having done anything. And because the mother wants to boost her confidence, to make her not feel neglected, she praises her for doing nothing. At what point do we draw the line? Because one of the risks we run by doing these things is this: while you make the effort to make the child feel loved, to make the child feel included, to make the child feel confident, to make the child feel cared for, to make the child feel wanted, a part of the larger whole. You should also be careful that you do not start to make the child believe in things that he isn't really capable of doing, because you're praising the child a lot to boost the child's confidence. And then when the child isn't actually doing enough, you continue to praise the child, making the child believe that he is. And imagine times when, they say, when people run a race, when children run a race, and then they reach the finishing line, you praise the winner who's on the first position, but also remember to praise the person who came in last because they all made an effort. Now that is absolutely okay, because you now do not concentrate on the child who has done so well, failing to recognize the efforts put in by the child who came in last. So in drawing the line, some things are important. Instead of praising the person of a child, praise the efforts of the child. Praise the process of the efforts that the child has made. Recognize the efforts that the child has made and encourage it to do better. So one thing that is key is efforts and process. When a child is making an effort to do something, to achieve something, it ought to be recognized and duly acknowledged. But if a child isn't making an effort, You should be wary of giving a child praise that isn't deserved, because you're not going to be the person who is always around this child, and there is a risk of giving this child a false sense of achievement, a false sense of importance rather, that isn't going to fit in well when he or she is out there with other people out there in the world. So it is necessary to find ways to tell the child the truth always about the actual reality of whatever effort the child is making. Now, while recognizing that it is a child, and so you find simple ways to break these things down to make the child understand, okay, I see that you put a lot of effort into doing this. Take for instance a picture of me that my child drew, and it's, oh, I see the effort you put. Look at how you drew the eyes, it's quite big. And then the hair, I like the way you wove it around, but do I actually look like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you can draw a better picture. I think you can. So that way you have acknowledged the effort the child has put into what it did. But you have also made the child understand that this is not the best that it can do. So you are praising the effort the child is making, but you are also making it understand that it can do better. So processes are to be recognized. Efforts are to be recognized. I've heard a lot of child psychologists and other nurturers who would say, learn to praise the process and not the person. Yes, praise the process and not the person. So instead of saying something like, oh, you're so, when a child does something, oh, you're such a genius, you are wonderful, why not say something like, oh, that is excellent, this thing you did, that is a great job you've done right here. That's a great job. I like the way you fixed this. I like the way you slowly put everything together until you fix this. This is a great job you've done. Well done on this. Well done. Draw the attention to what the child has done and not the child's person. That way you're able to take away that tendency for the child to become needy of praise, needy of recognition and such things. So there is need really to draw the line between praising and indulgence. Praise a child, make a child feel proud of his achievements, but be careful that you're directing the praise at the effort that the child is making and not at the child, so that you do not create children who have false senses of importance, false senses of security, children who are needy. There's some children who always go, oh mom, why don't you call me a good girl? You need to ensure that she's doing something that actually makes her a good girl, and not just call her a good girl just so she'll feel good about herself. For instance, you can tell her how she's putting her toys away after playing, and how she's laying her shoes at the right corner, and she's helping mom around the house, and then when she's able to care for others, such things that actually show her, yes, you're being a good girl. Tell her, so they understand that efforts have to go in to these praise, and then they do not start to crave it despite not doing anything to warrant it. Okay, I'm still the children nurturer, and my name is Omelogo Nnadi. I hope you were able to get a few things from this video. You can follow me on my Instagram page at Omelogo Nnadi or at littlecrystals.cradle. Do have a great day.